Hello everyone, we continue with Chapter 5, Part 3. It was morning on the day we left for Koufu. Everyone's up already. Huh? The common room was full of men dressed in clothing I'd never seen before. "Oh, hey, Chizuru," said Nagakura. "You're up pretty early." "Huh? Your clothes? Are you really Nagakura? What are you wearing?" "The commander ordered us to dress in Western clothing when going into battle from now on," said Saito. "Our enemies will be wearing Western clothing. Seems like we'd better too if we want to win." "Really?" Hijikata was dressed predominantly in black, and whatever his outfit was called gave him an elegant look. It suited him well. He looked as handsome as an actor, and I couldn't help but admire him for a moment. "Something wrong? Am I wearing it wrong?" No, definitely not." "You're strange." "Wait, Kondo's not wearing Western clothes?" They're just so tight," said Kondou, "and I can't stand walking in these, I think they're called shoes. Besides, I just wouldn't feel like a real warrior in those things. I guess I'm being a little childish about it, but that's my right," said Kondou. "You're fine," said Hijikata. "It's not like you will be out on the front lines. You just have to act dignified for the troops. Your presence alone is enough to inspire the men." Really? You're going to make me blush," said Kondou. "Well, let's be off then, to Koufu Castle." And thus the Shinsengumi took on the name Kouyou Regulatory Co and headed for Koufu by way of Hakuoki. On the way, Kondou split from the main group to visit his hometown. "Kondou still hasn't caught up yet," said Nagakura. "How long is he gonna sit around that inn getting drunk?" "Well, he probably hasn't been home in a while," said Harada. "Probably wants to show off how successful he's been. Not to mention, I'm sure he wants to visit his wife and his daughter. He hasn't seen them in a long time." "Show off, huh?" said Nagakura. "We're marching to war. You really think this is the time for that shit?" Hijikata looked back over his shoulder at Nagakura and Harada. "He's meeting with some possible recruits," he said. "What better way to get to know new soldiers than by sharing a drink with them, huh?" "Well, yeah, you got a point," said Nagakura, "but—" Hijikata's eyes narrowed. "If we'd gotten enough recruits before we left, Kondou wouldn't be out there right now." Hijikata's words cut like a knife. The Shinsengumi had made a name for themselves in Kyoto, true, but the shogunate was faced with a numerically superior force. We no longer had the luxury of conducting interviews with potential candidates and only taking the best. Now we had to offer money and alcohol to attract recruits. Hijikata would have rather cut off his own arm than stoop that low, but he had no choice. "Commander, there's something I need to tell you," said Saito. Sent on ahead to scout some time before, Saito had finally returned. What is it?" said Hijikata. Saito took a short breath and seemed for a moment to be gathering himself for something unpleasant. "It seems that the enemy has already conquered Koufu Castle." "What?" said Hijikata. He gestured quickly to some of the soldiers behind him. "We've got an urgent update on the situation. Go get the chief now." It was some time before Kondou received the message and returned to the main body of soldiers. That was long enough for news of the castle's fall to spread through the men, and many of them panicked. Nearly 300 of the men we'd left Edo with deserted, reducing our forces to a mere 100 soldiers. Nagakura and Harada advised retreat, but Kondou decided that we would form up for battle and fight until the bitter end. Now that we had accepted weapons and money from the shogunate, he said there could be no retreat. "I'll call in our reinforcements from Edo," said Hijikata. "We can't afford to lose this one. Tell the men that reinforcements will be arriving soon. We can't afford to have any more deserters." "As you wish," said Saito. Saito nodded, then turned and jogged off toward the rest of the soldiers. At last Hijikata turned to look at me. "Go back to Edo. This place is going to turn into a battlefield really soon, and you should be somewhere where you'll be safe." "And I have a choice coming up? I either go with them or stay behind." The wording here is slightly ambiguous. I'm honestly not quite sure what each option will do. I'll pick stay behind. I hope that means I'll stay with them. We'll see. "I'll stay here. I can't run away to somewhere safe while everyone else is off fighting. I'll stay here to protect Kondou until you get back." Hijikata frowned. "How? You can't swing a sword to save your life, and I don't think you've got the stones to kill a man. You're not a soldier." That was about what I'd expected him to say, but I wasn't going to back down so easily. "It's true that I'm not much good with a sword, but I can still be his shield. Any small wounds will heal quickly enough." "Why are you doing this? No one asked you to." "I know I'm probably out of line, but I also know that we can't lose Kondou, not now. I'm sick and tired of always being protected. I want to help, please." I'd been with them long enough to know just how much Kondou meant to Hijikata, to all of the Shinsengumi. If I went back to Edo and Kondou died... No, I refused to be the only person to escape unscathed. Hijikata chewed his lip thoughtfully for a moment, his hard eyes never leaving my face. At last he sighed and spoke. "If you're really that serious about this, then I've got an order for you as a member of the Shinsengumi." "What?" My eyebrows shot up. I'd been with the Shinsengumi for a long time, but never before had he actually referred to me as one of them, let alone given me any sort of orders. "I'm assigning you to Kondou as his personal guard. You will remain at his side and provide him with whatever assistance he might need. And... Yes, sir! I straightened up and nodded vigorously. I, Chizuru Yukimura, will protect my chief, even if it means my life. Hijikata cut me off with a sharp look. There's one condition. You can't die. What? That wasn't the sort of thing I expected to hear from a man like Hijikata. And if you were watching, you would have noticed another flurry of petals just now. And don't do anything stupid like being his shield or whatever that bullshit was you were saying. I'm not ordering you to die. He gave me one last pointed look and then turned to look toward Koufu Castle. If our enemy this time turns out to be a bunch of amateurs who are just hoping to kiss some ass with the Imperial Army, then we might have a chance. If it turns out that they're more like the Satsuma or the Choshu, though, then we're screwed. I'll try and get back as fast as I can, but if something happens before I do, I'm counting on you and Saito to make sure Kondou gets away clean. And none of the shield crap. You escape with him. Die, and I'll make sure you regret it. Understood? I felt a cold sweat break out on my back as Hijikata's words sunk in. I'd seen others fight for their lives in battle many times, but this would be the first time I'd actually joined the battle myself. Would I really be able to protect Kondou? Would it even be possible to evade our enemies and escape? Perhaps Hijikata noticed my sudden fear because he gave a short, bitter laugh. Hey, take out your sword. Huh? I fumbled with it for a moment, surprised at the strangeness of his request, and finally pulled my sword from its scabbard. Hijikata pulled out his sword as well, in a sure, smooth motion. Then he took his Izumi no Kami Kanesada and tapped its blade against my own. The clear tone they made drew goosebumps from my arms. That's called Kincho. It's what samurai do when they swear an oath. Oh, really? Interesting. Well, I guess technically neither of us is actually a samurai, so we're just going through the motions, I suppose, said Hijikata. Why? He grinned. Proof. I'll come back and you'll survive too. That's the oath we just made. So you trust me and you wait, and don't die. His words were confident, and listening to him I felt as if they'd somehow made me stronger, more capable. As someone who dreamt of being a true samurai, then that oath meant a great deal to him. I had to follow through. There could be no breaking this promise. I understand. I will protect Kondou and I will survive. He had given me a chance to show that I was useful and trusted me with an important task. I would complete that task no matter what. Slowly, the Kouyou Regulatory Company found itself driven into a corner. Kondou did his best to try and explain to them that he and his men were only there to protect the area around Koufu Castle in hopes that this situation might be resolved without bloodshed. Unfortunately, one of the new recruits cried out that they were the Shinsengumi and opened fire on the castle's defenders. That was the spark that lit the powder keg. The bulk of our opponent's forces turned out to be men from the Tosa domain who had been trained in Western tactics and weapons. Our guns were old and didn't have the range to match the Tosas. It quickly became a hopeless battle. Kondou had no choice but to retreat. "We have to go, Kondou. If we don't go now, you'll be killed." "But my men are still fighting out there. We can't run away and leave them." "If you stay, then you'll just die too." "Even if we lose this battle, Hijikata says that as long as you're safe, there's still hope. We can regroup and fight back later." I grabbed Kondou's hand and pulled him as hard as I could toward the road down the mountain. He looked across the battlefield at his own men, hopelessly outnumbered, many already fallen. I saw tears well up at the corners of his eyes. He bowed deeply toward the men still engaged in battle, just as Saito returned from the front line. "Are you prepared for the retreat?" asked Saito. "Good, let's go." "Right," I said. "Come on, Kondou, we have to go." "Right," said Kondou.